responsibly as your elected officials require. Okay, so just let me live. Let me live. Unless, of course, it means you dying.
Well, that's the problem. That was the conversation that we just had. Mike Ryan said, let me live to me. And my response was, do I have to let you live at the expense of me dying?
Look, brother, a hangover isn't something that you can get by me standing next to you. That's all you get.
I can smell your breath from over here, and I'm like 9 feet away.
My hangover is not contagious.
Also, the part I hadn't mentioned, it was the Raekwon Smith porn star boat he was on.
Keeping your vehicle going keeps you going, and these days, you can't be too prepared. At Advance Auto Parts, we're here whenever and however you need us. Take our free battery testing, for example, with no appointment necessary. And if it turns out you need a new one, we'll even install it for free with batteries starting at just $79.99. We also offer curbside pickup, so you can have any order brought right out to your vehicle. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details. This is the sound of Jeff's first ever low and slow Applewood smoked pork shoulder. And this...
Yes. Yes.
...is the sound he made when it fell right off the bone. Are you okay there, Jeff?
It was beautiful.
Backyard grilling leaves the best marks. Kingsford. For recipes and inspiration, visit kingsford.com.
For This Week in Sports History, I'm JP. In 1904, Cy Young pitches the first perfect game in modern baseball for Boston Americans against the Philadelphia Athletics, 3-0. In 1982, Californian federal jury rules NFL violates antitrust laws in preventing the Oakland Raiders' move to the LA Coliseum. In 1987, Mario Andretti sets one-lap speed record at Indianapolis at 218 miles an hour. In 1994, Lennox Lewis knocks out Phil Jackson in 8 rounds for the heavyweight boxing title. In 2002, Barry Bonds hits his 400th home run as a San Francisco Giant in a 3-0 win over Cincinnati. Bonds is the first player with 400 homers for one team and 100 with another. And in 2019, Pablo Sandoval becomes the second MLB player since 1900 to throw a scoreless outing, hit a home run, and steal a base in the same game in the San Francisco Giants' 12-4 loss to Cincinnati. Not too bad for Kung Fu Panda, huh? That's This Week in Sports History. I'm JP.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage at $75 per month, level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for a new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters at 1-866-929-1950. That's 1-866-929-1950. Remember, 1-866-929-1950. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes for preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Looking for future leaders we can believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Florida. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It includes learning to listen, accepting responsibility, being a good role model, and it's about respect. The result, it transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
For your ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts, I'm JP. Rumor has it a baseball game in the Atlantic League in 1893, a batter broke his bat and grabbed an axe as it was the only thing to swing around and hit the next pitch in half, where half of the ball went over the fence and they won 2.5-2 in the 11th inning. Quite the walk-off. The home team must provide the referee with 36 footballs for each National Football League game. Just be sure to check the PSI if the Patriots are supplying the footballs. That's your ESPN Pensacola Ridiculous Facts. I'm JP.
This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM and 99.1 FM, the only local station that talks sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. From Gulick and Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
The following has been produced by Talk Football LLC. Former Florida Gators quarterback, NFL quarterback, and NFL head coach. Coach K. Stevenson has a resume second to none, and now he's sharing his insider information with you. Talk Football with Coach K starts right now on ESPN Pensacola.
Welcome into Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kate Stevenson on this Monday afternoon. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Like I said, the beaches open back up this weekend. A lot of people out there. Look, I know it's tough, but continue to practice social distancing. Do what got us to this point. It's so important to remember. Look, you got to continue to wash your hands. Practice social distancing. It's going to take a little more time in this. We're not there yet. We're moving forward. Let's not backtrack in this. As we always do to start off the show, we want to thank our first responders and our healthcare workers. Listen, we want to thank you every single day regardless of what's going on, but you show up in a time like this, in the pandemic right now of COVID-19. We appreciate everything that you've done working day in and day out. Also, as well, we want to thank our essential workers, our grocery store employees, truck drivers, anyone and everyone. You know who you are right now. You've been out there also on the front lines as well. We couldn't do it without you. I mean, it's important to remember you have helped make our lives as normal as possible through all this. Now, like I said, we're getting some better signs, hopeful for, we're moving more toward normalcy, but nonetheless, we're still in this thing, and we appreciate what everybody's done throughout the community. We also want to thank our sponsors. Look, we couldn't do it without you guys. And, Coach, I know you feel the same way, but how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well, and I do feel exactly the same way, and glad that we start the show, that you start the show each week or each day with that message out to those people that we owe so much to.
Absolutely, Coach. And, we want to open up our phone lines as well. 850-623-1330 is the number here. Let us know what's on your mind. A lot going on. We have so much to talk about today. Coach, unfortunately, it's a shame. Look, the world lost a great coach, a great person, and I know a great friend to you as well, Coach. Don Shula, of course, getting the news this morning of his passing at 90 years old. Look, this is a guy, Coach, that goes without saying that he was won an NFL record 347 games. Of course, the undefeated season with the Dolphins there in 72 is 17-0. Still going to be a record that may never be broken. We'll see what happens. But nonetheless, just an awesome, awesome guy. And I love it, Coach. I know he meant a lot to you, but hearing all the stories of people talking about the impact that Shula had on them from coaching to playing, just everybody rallied around behind him, and they loved him. And, Coach, it's a shame that we had to lose someone like this. It's a part of life, but I know he meant a tremendous amount to you as well.
Yeah, there's some great stories about Don that I hold dear, quite honest, and quite a few humorous type stories. But he was quite a guy. You're right, quite a guy. Great football coach. I mean, I marvel at how he made some of the adjustments that he did with his football team and maintain that discipline that they had as an organization, as a team. He was a very disciplined guy. Some people think that he was what they want to refer to as a player's coach and all that. Well, he was, but he was a very disciplined, extremely strict about how they handled practices, off season, where everything. He was very organized. Have to tell you just a couple of funny stories about him. We first game I ever coached as a head coach. We opened up with Miami in Buffalo, and Don was of all things, he was a coach, but he was head of the rules committee, which oversaw the officiating. Right? So his remarks about officiating obviously had more carried more weight than anybody else coaching. Let's say that. So it was not. I think it was an unfair advantage to Miami. But he, at any rate, long story short, it was a very close ball game. I think we lost by 2 or 3 points or whatever. But the big play, 2 big plays in the ball game. One was just before halftime. Let's see. I think Miami went. We went first. The first one was a pass. We into Frank Lewis, our receiver, in the end zone, who made a great catch right at the back of the end zone. But the official called him out of the end zone. No good, no touchdown. Miami comes back, and just before halftime, just before the end of the first half, Miami's receiver catches the ball in exactly the same place, maybe even a little further out, according to our press box, people in the press box, and they called him in. Gave Miami a touchdown. Well, I was hot as heck. I was really hot when I went up into the tunnel. Both teams go into a tunnel, and then the dressing rooms were on opposite side at the top of the tunnel. But we're going up the tunnel, and I see Shula with his arm around the head official, congratulating the official for a job well done in the first half.
Well, I think we lost Coach right there. We'll work to get Coach back real quick in just a second. But I do want to say, while we're waiting for Coach to come back, I do want to say something on this. Coach, I know that it meant a lot to him, Coach Shula. Just like I said, the stories of Shula and everything, what he meant to that franchise, and just the perfect record of 17-0 right there to lead them to the Super Bowl. It's something that teams get close to but can never seem to finish it off. I don't know Shula personally. I did not know Shula. I know that he had a tremendous impact on a lot of people here, including Coach. And I'm interested to see hear the rest of that story from Coach as well. Look, it's the one thing with Coach K we know is he has so many sources, and he's so close to with so many people that means so much to NFL and just the community in general. But with Don Shula, the one thing of always researching. I've always known who Don Shula was, even growing up, because my father telling me about him and things, and just the special type of person that he was. Is like Coach said, he was a player's coach, and that can get phrased in a different way. A lot of people say, well, that's lazy. You think of players, coaches. I think it's important to remember Shula was a guy that ramped his guys up and got them ready to play. Very successful. There's a way to go about it. Players coach now is, I think, a little bit different than players coach back in the day. It's so special to just listen to the stories of people that about Don Shula and the impact that they had on their careers. It's you lost such a great person overall. Like I said, a great coach, a great person, and a tremendous friend to Coach K and many other people as well. With Shula's passing, we know it's a part of life right now, but nonetheless, just the impact that he had on the NFL in general. And you hear a story like what Coach K is talking about right now. He had a little more say. It's a funny story right there, but just the impact that he had on people, I think it's more important. I'm a sucker for a character, a great character. And what I mean by that is someone off the field that exudes what the position is supposed to be. I know that not everybody's the same. I don't want everybody to be the same. But nonetheless, I love seeing guys like Drew Brees. I love seeing people donate time more. You can throw money. A lot of guys can throw money out there, and that's great. But donating time as well. Listen, we're going to go to a quick break because I do want to get back to this story with Coach K on Don Shula, and it's a shame his passing. But we're going to get Coach K back on the show with us to talk more about Don Shula and the impact that he had as well, right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Sometimes your bank, your family, and your friends love you, but they don't have the money to help you. Sometimes we have chances to make money, but the old saying, you've got to have money to make money, rings true. At Pensacola Specialty Pond, we can help. If you have trucks, heavy equipment, airplanes, boats, jet skis, anything with value, Pensacola Specialty Pond can loan you that short-term money you need. No credit checks, and at Pensacola Specialty Pond, you're going to find the money and the discretion you need.
Now at 6428 Pensacola Boulevard, north of Car City. Call 432-9050, 432-9050.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
Spring is sprung and it's time for your favorite weekend activities. It all starts with a stop at Barnes Feed Store. Now's the time to get your hands dirty planting your favorite flowers and vegetables in the garden. What will you grow this year? Barnes Feed Store has been helping gardens grow better for generations. You'll sure have the best smelling backyard while grilling those burgers on your Big Green Egg. Now you can get the Big Green Egg and accessories at Barnes. Get your gardening, grilling, pet supplies, and so much more at Barnes Feed Store in Inslee on Old Palafox.
There's only one name in town when it comes to afternoon local sports talk. The Sports Drive with Chad Brilliante.
Some athletes don't want to be given... nobody does. No, look, when you play with your pops as it gets older, one of the most embarrassing things... My daughter's 3. I just slam it right in her face right at the play school hoop. Like right there, like I'm Zion Williamson.
The games, the players, the fans. ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
You can watch Coach K talk football live right now on our YouTube channel at ESPN Pensacola 1330.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. On this Monday afternoon, hope everybody's doing well, continuing to practice their social distancing. We're talking some football with you, and we got Coach back on the line here. Coach, I want you to continue your story there because I've got a couple texts whenever we lost you on the line there, and remember we're practicing our social distancing here as well as Coach is back home on one of our other systems, and sometimes things don't work out. It's not perfect, but nonetheless, I got a couple texts, Coach, of people saying they want to hear the stories there, and because a lot of people are big fans of Don Shula around here. But, Coach, if you wouldn't mind continuing.
Okay, well, listen, I was one of Don Shula's biggest fans, and I certainly understand it. But anyway, long story short, they get a touchdown call. We get one called out of bounds, and going right back down the field a couple of minutes later, just to end the half, they get a touchdown. It's called a touchdown, and he was probably a little more out of bounds if we were out of bounds at all, but he was clearly out of bounds. They called it a touchdown. And Shula was head of the rules committee. So anyway, going up the tunnel there at the end of the first half, and I see Don ahead of me, and he's got his arm around the official, and I was right behind him, so I could hear. He's talking about what a great job they were doing, the officials were doing, and boy, I'll tell you, I can't tell you what all I said, but it just hit the wrong way, and I let him have it. I always felt bad about that. And I told him after the game I felt bad about it, but that was something that really hit the wrong way, hit me the wrong way. And then the other thing I think that is a great story and more significant with Don Shula. The return game, because that game, first game was in Buffalo, the second game was in Miami that year, and so we go down and we had a heck of a ball game, back and forth, a lot of scoring. I don't remember what the scoring was, but it was high on both teams. We go into overtime, and we end up winning the ball game in overtime on a past the end of the ball game when we scored. And going out across the field to shake hands with him, and Don's got a big smile on his face, and so I congratulated him for a great game, and whatever, he did the same, and I said, guys, this is the first game Marino had ever started. And I said, I knew you had a good one in Marino. And that's another great story how he got Marino, because I was going to draft Marino in Buffalo. But so you got a great quarterback in Marino there. I guess he made you look pretty good today. And he had a big smile on his face. And he said, yeah, more important than this ball game maybe is the fact that we now have a quarterback for the next 10 to 12 years. And but he felt that strongly about that performance, and he was happy. He seemed to be more excited about Marino's coming out party than he was concerned about losing the ball game. But great guy, and there are many, many stories about him. He was always, he and his wife were always very kind to my wife and to me at league meetings and whatever, and he was always had some nice things to say and follow up over the years. So Don Shula was a great, great guy, great coach, and somebody I felt very, very close to.
Yeah, Coach, it's that's it's funny just because you talk about him putting his arm around the referee, walking into the tunnel, and I can only imagine how upset you could get hearing what he was probably saying there. And I understand that you can't probably say what you said, obviously, but nonetheless, and it's interesting too to hear the Dan Marino thing. He smiles after a game like that because he realized what he had, and then you look at what happened with Dan Marino and what happened with those Dolphins, and Coach, he took down Don Shula. That's pretty special as well. But it's a shame. We understand it's a part of life, but it's a part that we never will get used to. And losing someone like Don Shula, any life in general is special and means a ton. But a guy like Don Shula, just the impact that he had on so many people, it's where I look at it is, it's a celebration of his life. That's important. I've always believed in a celebration of people's lives as well. There's a time for mourning, but for Don Shula right now, look, he lived till he was 90 years old. Okay, we didn't lose him too soon, even though it always seems it's too soon. But lived a great life. A lot of people respect him, and he changed he changed NFL for a ton of people, and also the impact that he had on you as well, Coach. But wanting to move on to a couple other things, we have so much to talk about today, Coach. The big news, of course, this weekend, Andy Dalton is returning home. Of course, his family lives in Dallas. He went to TCU in Fort Worth, a suburb over there, and he's back with the Cowboys. Now, Coach, a lot of things talking about this. This is I knew what was going to happen. I knew what was going to be said. The overreaction is just it's what's going to happen. That's all what people want. They want the stories. They want the stories that aren't even stories. They want to turn them into stories. They want the drama. We know Dallas is always giving us drama. Jerry Jones has always given us drama. Well, no different here for what a lot of people want to say. But, Coach, Andy Dalton is 32 years old. I think with Dak Prescott, remember, they have until July. He has until July to sign that one-year tender if they can't work a deal out. And Dak could honestly say, well, I'm going to sit out this year. It would be a terrible move on everybody's part, but not as much the Cowboys now. And one thing we talked about Andy Dalton last week, and Andy Dalton is a great quarterback who's been with a very mediocre organization at best when they were at their highest level, I guess. But Coach, when you look at this for Dak Prescott, I think this puts all the pressure on Dak Prescott now. And for the Cowboys, they can almost kick back a little bit and be like, okay, look, here's what we got. If you don't want to sign it, then fine. We've got a guy in Andy Dalton. I know they want to sign Dak Prescott. I think it's been obvious in this whole thing. But this was a smart move on their part. I don't think it was a move as much to just spite him as much as, listen, we've got to prepare in case you don't sign. That's just business. And for people that are taking this out of context, I believe, in saying, oh, well, how disrespectful for them to sign a guy like Andy Dalton. They don't sign Dak Prescott. Coach, when I look at this, they've given Dak Prescott everything. I mean, he wanted a long-term deal. They give him a long-term deal. Now he wants a 4-year deal. You know, they've offered the money that he was wanting and things like that. This is all on Dak Prescott now, and I think this was a genius move by the Cowboys.
Oh, I do too. I think it was a great move by the Cowboys for many reasons. And I'll tell you, I'll even go a step further. I'm not so sure that they wouldn't be better within a quarterback than they would be Dak Prescott. Now, keep in mind, with a very average to maybe even less than average football team at Cincinnati, he did get them to the playoffs 4 or 5 times, forget which. But Andy Dalton is not a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback. And he certainly, if nothing else, gives them a tremendous backup situation there in case something happens.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when you look at this for the Cowboys, of course, they waived Cooper Rush, who was the backup now. That's where I think for people they need to understand is this is not a disrespect move to Dak Prescott. This is all on Dak Prescott now. I mean, it's simply whether you agree with it or you don't. I think it was a genius move because Andy Dalton, I've spoken on this show, I've spoken on the Sports Drive as well, Coach. I believe Andy Dalton, like you, is a good quarterback. I think, look, he's done some great things. I know that he's played for the Bengals, but this is a guy that I think is a hungry competitor. This is a guy that I thought if he went to the Patriots, this would make the Patriots that's a tremendous upgrade. Now, we don't know what Jarrett Stidham's going to be. Jarrett Stidham could be, well, the incumbent. I mean, he could be the next guy. I'm not going to say he's the next Tom Brady because of what Tom Brady is, but the next guy to lead the Patriots down the road. But nonetheless, going to Dallas here could be a great move, and it's a move that I don't think a lot of people saw coming either. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out because now pressure's on Dak Prescott because worst case scenario for the Cowboys, you got a quarterback in Andy Dalton where let's remember what the Cowboys, they have built this team offensively to be fantastic. Paying Amari Cooper, you've got the offensive line. You had, your center, Travis Frederick's gone, but you drafted another guy at center that could be pretty good. It may take a couple years. The offensive line's pretty shored up. The halfback position is pretty shored up there with Ezekiel Elliott. You've got weapons around him. Oh, and you went out and drafted CeeDee Lamb, who's going to be dynamic. He just looks like the perfect kid for that offense as well to be opposite of Amari Cooper. You got Michael Gallup over there, the young receiver from last year. This is a team offensively that if Dak was smart, now I understand he wants to go get his money, but if he's smart, he doesn't allow Andy Dalton to take that position because if Andy Dalton takes over, Andy Dalton may not let up because remember, Andy Dalton's only 32 years old. This is not a guy that's 37, 38. So it will be interesting to see what the Cowboys do moving forward. But, Coach, talking about some players and maybe not getting picked up, moving on, this is interesting. Now, there's a fifth-year option tracker on NFL.com here for 2017 in that draft. Of course, you go through some of these picks and you're like, all right, Myles Garrett, his was picked up. Myles Garrett's done a pretty good job outside of the helmet issue there with the Steelers. But interesting enough, we'll start with this one, Coach. I'm going to ask you if you're surprised and what your opinion is maybe moving forward from this. Mitchell Trubisky for the Bears, his fifth-year option was declined. Remember, this is Nick Foles, of course, coming over from Jacksonville. They gave up a draft pick. They gave up some money to be able to get him. Coach, were you surprised by Mitch Trubisky getting his fifth-year option declined?
Yes. I was, to be honest with you, and it certainly is indicative of a less than outstanding scouting group that they had there in Chicago. When he was, I think they moved up, drafted him. He was like number 2 or 3 drafted that year. But Trubisky's been up and down. He's never been the type quarterback that could give you a steady, safe, reliable, productive play. So I think they just reached the point, JP, where they said, "Heck, we're not going to have the fallout that we may have." Evidently, they knew something else about Trubisky. This is my guess now, that they knew something else about his personality. If he's not the starting quarterback, maybe, and they had decided that Foles was going to be the starting quarterback, and with Trubisky behind him. But maybe they knew that was going to be a bad situation for their locker room. Something else happened, and not to mention the fact that the money situation may have also played a part in it, at least been a contributing factor. But there was something there that forced them to make that decision and move on. Now, what they've got is a situation that we know, and I think between us, that's an unstable quarterback situation now with the Bears, because you can't depend on Foles to stay healthy. He's getting on up there, and then his history is not good from a dependability standpoint. So I think they've got to have somebody, at least have somebody else there ready to go in case Foles can't make it.
Yeah, I agree, Coach. I was surprised, too, that they didn't pick it up. Not because Mitch Trubisky has lit the world on fire with his play, but just because of exactly what you talked about right there with Nick Foles. That was always my thing when Foles was brought over, is it wasn't a great move when I look at the quarterbacks maybe available, but just because Foles has been up and down. Remember, Foles, of course, leading the Eagles to the Super Bowl. I'm iffy on a guy like Nick Foles. I mean, I get it, but Mitch Trubisky is a guy that, maybe it was coaching, maybe it's Mitch Trubisky, who knows right there, but nonetheless, it gives you some depth at that position just because now you're putting a lot of reliability there on Nick Foles. Now, I get it because you spent the money. You also, gave up a draft pick for him as well, but a little interesting there. I agree with you. I think that, look, that Bears organization, even when they took a guy like Trubisky, maybe they could have went a different route, but, it's easy to say now when we look at it compared to then. Coach, that's one thing I want to make note with the Chicago Bears, too, is that defense is really good. I mean, like I said before, they are in a win-now mode when you look at that defense, and they're a Super Bowl caliber defense. Now, I'm not saying they can go out there and win it. Obviously, offensively, they've got to figure something out, but that defense is good enough to take you deep in the playoffs at least. But, nonetheless, when you look at Mitch Trubisky's option was declined, I guess we'll see where they move forward with all this, and we'll see how Mitch Trubisky reacts as well. This is also the guy that said he had to turn the TVs off in the hallways because people were saying bad things about him. But, Coach, of course, Solomon Thomas, the defensive end from the 49ers, was declined. I don't think that was a big surprise. A bigger surprise here, maybe not. This is interesting. Now, the Jaguars have been getting rid of some folks, Coach, and I know you've got some comments on this as well. They did not pick up Leonard Fournette's fifth-year option here. Coach, were you surprised by this at all?
Yes, somewhat surprised, but I can't say that it certainly wasn't a shock. A little surprised maybe that they did what they did, but I see Jacksonville cleaning out their locker room right now, getting rid of the potential cancers in their locker room, and also there's a dependability factor here that you can't deny. I mean, Fournette has been in and out of the lineup. Can they depend on him, at certain times? I just think it was a move on that part. They had made up their mind. And look at some of the other people they've gotten out of there, too. So I think they're just cleaning up their locker room, number one. Now, it was, I know this for a fact. They tried to trade him, and they really couldn't get any offers on him. Certainly not any that would be substantial. So that didn't work. So now the next thing is just to go ahead and cut your relationship with him and go from there. I don't know exactly how to rate their running back situation, JP, right now with him gone. I know that they were very dependent on it with him there. So
how they have to handle this is going to. I think they got to look. They got to look to bring on. It's going to be through free agency now, but they've got to increase the presence of people in that running back room. I think that's for sure.
Yeah, Coach, when you look at their depth chart, of course they signed Chris Thompson, the former Redskins running back, who was more of a pass catcher out of the backfield, which I thought was a good move to give them a little different option because Fournette's not exactly the pass catcher type running back. He can be, but outside of him, you got Raquel Armstead and Devin Azigbo. I mean, I agree with you. Look, that running back position is needs a lot of help, but nonetheless, this is a team. Look, Coach, I will ask you this too. With Leonard Fournette, them not picking up his fifth-year option too, Andy Dalton goes to, well, obviously the Cowboys now. We thought maybe the Patriots pick him up, but I think this just speaks to the Patriots and their belief in Jarrett Stidham moving forward. The one quarterback that I will mention, just because could this be a signal for them not going after him, is Cam Newton. Could the Jaguars, because they're letting a guy like Fournette go and the cleaning house and things that they've done there, we know what Cam Newton be. He can be a good player, but he can also talk a little bit sometimes. Do you see the Jaguars picking up a guy like Cam Newton this offseason?
It's hard for me to believe that they would, to be honest with you, because look at what they're trying to do, and certainly getting rid of Fournette. It's very obvious they're trying to clean up their locker room there. Why would you get that? The guy is a big, strong, talented running back. So why would you get rid of him if you're not trying to clean up the culture of your football team, clean up your locker room? And if you're just asking for trouble, I think if you bring Cam Newton in there, I think that is a potential locker room problem. Now, I may be wrong, but I really think that unless you pay homage to his ego, I think you have some problems with him. But you never know. I mean, stranger things have happened. I don't ever say never. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see what happens then.
Yeah, I bring that question up just because of what they're doing now and the reputation that Cam Newton has had before. So that's where I go, hearing Cam Newton now, where you look at that's pretty much one of the only places that you could see him going where he had a potential to start right away, possibly. Now, that's the only, like I said, Coach, that's the only reason I bring that up. But nonetheless, back to this picking up the fifth-year option here. Now, one guy that obviously we know that the Texans had to pick it up was Deshaun Watson. But, Coach, I asked this because I was asked this question this weekend by a friend of mine. Is Deshaun Watson good enough to lead a team to deep in the playoffs, or is this system in Houston right now with the team that they've had building around him, is that more the problem? Coach, I ask you because you've coached quarterbacks, you've played quarterbacks at the highest level. Look, Deshaun Watson, Coach, watching him play, is he a good enough quarterback to possibly lead a team to the Super Bowl and a smart move for the Texans to pick up his option?
Well, I think they have or will pick up his option, and I think he's a good enough quarterback, at least based on what I've seen so far. He's a good enough quarterback to take them to the playoffs. I'm not sure if he's the type quarterback that would take somebody to the Super Bowl and win it, but he may be. I think he's got the talent. I do think that he has a consistency, maybe problem from time to time, and I do think that he's probably wondering how they're going to replace the receiver situation that they've created there. And maybe that'll take care of itself. But I do think that there's got to be some second guessing there. And it's going to be interesting to see what type of year he has this year. If he tries to do it all with his legs, then they're going to be in trouble. Not only from the consistency standpoint offensively, but he's going to get hurt. I think he's maybe overdue for an injury as much as he runs anyway. He's been durable, but I don't think he can continue to do that. Plus, I don't think that's the best way to put points on the board, move the offense consistently. And all you got to do is look at Baltimore when you get in the playoffs, and you're going to run the ball, and you got to be able to do more than that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach. And it's like, I like Deshaun Watson. Of course, he's been beat up a lot because of the offensive line problems like you were talking about. I would love to see him with another team, but nonetheless, he's done a great job there. And I agree. Look, I think for him, it's a big question mark is, okay, well, how is this all going to work out? I know Brandon Cooks, of course, came out and said, listen, I've been traded 3 times. You know what that tells me? People want me. And I laugh at that because you know what? That's confidence that I don't have. It's a little bit different spin on things. But nonetheless, Coach, when you talk about Deshaun Watson, I like him a lot. I like him as a person as well. One more thing before we go to break, Coach. The Dolphins, Miami Dolphins came out, and their stadium holds about 65,000 people. I thought this was interesting, though, just because I want to get your take on it and maybe what you've heard as well around the NFL, if anything's changed. The Dolphins came out with a way they said that they can have fans in the stadium. Now, it would, of course, knock it down to about 15,000 people, but they'd have different entrances, ways people can continue to social distance and things like this in order to adhere to the rules and everything going on. We know Miami is one of the hot spots down there, especially in Florida, for what they've been going through. So there's a bigger question, unlike some other places. But Coach, when you look at this, I think for what they did, of course, they even mapped it out. They've got pictures of everything to let people see, not just talking about it. I think it's cool. I think it's an interesting way to give people hope, for the season as well. But what I'm going to ask you is, Coach, when you look at it, is it a good move, for the Dolphins to come out with this? And then have you heard anything about the NFL season moving forward, good news, bad news, or anything indifferent?
I do know this, talking with a couple of people, but particularly with Bill Polian. Bill's on a part of a group or committee put together to explore the options. And don't think the NFL is not looking very seriously at what options might be available to them. Now, the most important thing is that they play. And it's important for this country. The NFL can play and could play with an empty stadium, be more than difficult for the colleges to do that. The NFL depends, I think their revenue is about 15 to 16% comes from ticket sales. The rest is, of course, big one is TV and then ancillary income such as properties, NFL properties, and so on, and sponsorships. But colleges can't do that. They're more than dependent on ticket sales, and also there are certain NCAA rules in accordance with having the number of students enrolled in school and so on, school being open. So there are a number of things they would have to overcome. But the NFL, I know there are 3 options that they're looking at right now, from worst to best, and they're looking at the best being the route that they're going to pursue, but fall back to the worst. The worst meaning they would not start play until November, with a short camp or whatever you want to call it in October. The other possibilities falling back to October. And this is cutting down the number of games, too, if they have to use the fallback scenarios here. But the other would be start play in October with a late September camp. And if these coaches think they're going to get 4 to 6 weeks to have camp before they play, they got another thing coming. They may only have 2 weeks to get ready, and they're just going to have to do it. And, of course, the other is the best-case scenario, which we all want and hope is going to be the case, that they start play in September. I would think if they start play in September, there'll be a drastic reduction in camp and maybe even the preseason games being called off, or at least most of that being set aside to shorten the time there. But anyway, they want to start play in September, and I think they're coming out today maybe with a schedule based on 1st of September, which you'd have to do and which you want to portray as the most positive way to look at it. And we wish everybody could keep a positive approach to everything that we're doing now. And certainly I think the NFL is doing that.
Yeah, Coach, they are supposed to release it most likely either today or tomorrow. Of course, they came out and they haven't officially said it because they haven't let teams know yet, but that they are going to cancel the international games, which we all kind of understood that anyway, but it hasn't been officially announced. But the games in London and, of course, Mexico City are going to be canceled. But they're going to release the 17-game schedule here either today or tomorrow. So I agree. I think it's a positive sign. I know we still got a ways to go, but that's what we need to remember. We still have a ways to go. We don't have to make that decision today for people that are like, how can you play football right now? Well, we're not. We're playing possibly months down the road, obviously. But it's just something that, we're getting positive signs, but that's why it's also important for our listeners here. Remember, continue practicing social distancing so we don't backtrack on this. But nonetheless, Coach, we are up against a break right now. We come back as we always have been doing here for quite a while now, worked our way through the SEC, working our way through the ACC. We're going to break down the Louisville Cardinals. This is a team with Scott Satterfield, of course, at the helm now. Had a pretty good season last year, a really quiet team, but looking to make some noise in 2020. We'll talk more about the Cardinals when we come back right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
Hello, sports fans. Miles Bentley here, General Manager at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Pensacola. Growing up, I always loved sports. Nothing but net, out of the park, through the uprights. Sink the puck Bentley, that was me. But my love of the game couldn't beat my love for Pensacola and helping folks get on the road of dreams in a new Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Sure, I never went to the big leagues in sport, but we're all pro here at Hill Kelly Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Proud to be in Pensacola.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this, and as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
Pensacola's own NFL Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith has some tips for us during this time.
This fight is up to all of us to try to help bend that curve. It's going to take teamwork. It's going to take us to stay committed, stay focused, and stay dedicated to the mission at hand, and that is to keep everyone safe. So be encouraging. Find some support. Find someone to talk to every day to encourage them to keep on continuing in this fight. And we will beat this pandemic.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson. on this Monday afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well and continuing to practice social distancing. Look, we're talking some football with you, and as we've been doing for quite a while now, breaking down some college teams, one each day right here, worked our way through the SEC, going through the ACC here, learned a lot about a lot of these teams. Hopefully you have too as listeners, but nonetheless, we're talking about the Louisville Cardinals here. Now, Coach, this is a team that we don't really think of a whole lot when you think about Louisville, but this is a team that's made a splash. And look, we think Lamar Jackson. That's when I think for everybody that's who they think when they think Louisville, and that's about the only person you think of right now. Now, Lamar's had some success in the NFL, but when you look at it, last year, of course, the first year of the Scott Satterfield era at Louisville went better than expected. The Cardinals finished 8-5, including a season-ending victory, which was a comeback win against Mississippi State in that Music City Bowl. Look, the Cardinals, with spring practice being canceled, they had a lot of things, of course, bigger goals in mind, but this is a team that averaged about 33 points a game, which was 31st in college football, but they gave up 33 points a game, which was 109th in college football. Scott Satterfield is a guy, of course, he was the coach, if you don't know him, at App State for 5 years before taking the Louisville job last year. So this is a guy that is well-respected. App State, he did a fantastic job at App State, but when you think about it moving forward, they had a good season. Like I said, 8-5 is nothing to scoff at. But, Coach, we look at the schedule real quick. We'll get into a couple things for some predictions for this year for them. Of course, opening at home against NC State, then going on the road to Death Valley right there to take on the Clemson Tigers, then back home for a couple games against Murray State in Western Kentucky. Then they go on the road to the Carrier Dome, always tough to play there, take on the Syracuse Orange, then going up to Chestnut Hill to take on Boston College. They get to host the Florida State Seminoles and Virginia Tech Hokies back-to-back, but they got to go to Charlottesville to take on the Virginia Cavaliers. Back home again to take on Wake Forest. Then on the road right there, it's going to be tough in Indiana to take on Notre Dame. That's a Notre Dame team we know is going to be pretty good. And then back home to take on, again, the rivalry right there, the Kentucky Wildcats. But they get them at home. There's a team, of course, Coach, when you look at a couple questions as we move forward here. The quarterback position, Mikael Cunningham. Look, this is a guy that was a surprise for a lot of, Cardinal fans there. Maybe not college football. You don't know who this guy is. But in 12 games, he threw for over 2,000 yards, threw for 22 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. The question is, can he take his game to the next level? When we look at that Atlantic Division, we believe he's going to continue to improve under Satterfield. There's no reason that we believe that Louisville can't necessarily improve that 8-win total from last season. Now, the Cardinals' defense, I know they're returning a ton of guys. It's actually a really good setup for Coach Satterfield and what he's done. They recruited well. But the defense struggled big time. And an ACC that's not exactly loaded with offense outside of teams like Clemson, this is a team that they better figure it out. Look, they play Notre Dame and Clemson. They're going to be up against the gun right here. But they do have a lot of competition at many vital spots, but they're bringing back a ton of guys this year to compete. Now, on the offensive line, of course, Mekhi Becton. We saw him go in the first round there. This is the big 364-pound guy. Guys like that, Taylor Haycraft, they were leaders, but they're gone now. So moving forward, guys like Adonis Boone, who started some games for him last season, are moving in. They did sign 5 offensive linemen in the 2020 recruiting class. They signed the junior college All-American Trevor Reed as well. So they've got a little bit of depth there. Not a whole lot, but the offensive line, obviously, no matter what team you are, is going to be a concern. You have to get that shirt up first. And then the defensive line. They finished 69th nationally with a total of 27 sacks on defense. It's not really going to get it done, even in the ACC. So they've got some help over there. Coach, when I look at this Louisville Cardinals team, 8-5 seems kind of what I feel that they could go this year, especially with returning a lot of those starters. But maybe 9 wins. I find it hard to get 10 when you got to play teams like Clemson and Notre Dame. To get 10 wins there, you would have to beat every single person that you're supposed to, and maybe beat a Virginia or Virginia Tech or a Florida State along the way. But nonetheless, I like Coach Satterfield, and I like what the Louisville Cardinals did last year. You there, Coach? I think we lost Coach.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I'm back here. I say you summed up things pretty well there. I don't know that there's too much left to say about these guys. I will say I think Satterfield did a good job at App State. Obviously, he's done a good job at Louisville. So you have to look at that factor when evaluating what they may be. Good coaching certainly elevates the opportunity to win ball games. And they've got momentum because they had a big turnaround year, and they won 8 ball games. That's tremendous for them. But like you, I'd say, you got to play Clemson, you got to play Notre Dame, you got to play Florida State, and Virginia. All those are games that they could very easily lose. They're going to have to, like you said, they're going to have to upset some people to improve, and they're going to have to be big upsets at this point. So I think Louisville will. I agree with you. I think they're going to be hard pressed to get 8 or 9 wins. But I think if they have 7-win season, I think they probably had a very successful season this year.
Yeah, and it's one thing with Louisville, and I know we don't have a ton of Louisville fans around here. We have football fans, but nonetheless, a team like Louisville, remember, even when they had guys like Lamar Jackson, they weren't lighting the world on fire. They weren't getting that many wins. A team that was not complete. I think Satterfield is going to do a good job at trying to complete this team. He's done a good job in recruiting. He is getting some big-time JUCO guys to step in immediately, not necessarily just freshmen. And I think that's important to get some of those junior college guys there because they can play right away. They've been playing at a high level already. So for a team like Louisville, listen, they play in the ACC. This is not the SEC. So there's some availability there to be able to have some success. But I go back to, like you said, Coach, a team like Florida State is up and coming right now. We see that. We know they're going to have some success, maybe not necessarily immediately, but down the road. You even look at a team like Virginia that's had success, but you still got Clemson sitting right there. And not only that, though, Virginia Tech is always a team that's always so pesky. They're always so tough. In order for Louisville to have that success and have those wins, they're going to have to beat, well, pretty much all those teams except like a Notre Dame or a Clemson. But nonetheless, Scott Satterfield, I love the hire. I think he did a great job last year. I thought it was a great bowl win last year because they were down in that game against Mississippi State. And Joe Moorhead, I believe that's what led to his firing is, just the lack of discipline, the lack of care. When you look at those Mississippi State players playing in Nashville there in that Music City Bowl, it was just a shame. And Louisville stepped up. It said a lot about that team for Louisville. But nonetheless, Coach, we're up against a break here. When we come back, going to talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers. Some rumors coming around, a lot of people, a lot of negative things to say about that Packers organization. And Saban had a little bit to say about how long he would need in order for his team to get ready to play for college football. All that and more coming right back here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
I'm attorney Stephen Luongo with Levin, Papantonio, Thomas, Mitchell, Rafferty, and Proctor in Pensacola, Florida. Distracted driving is a dangerous epidemic on America's roadways. In 2016 alone, over 3,000 people were killed in motor vehicle crashes involving distracted drivers. This according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. For more information, please visit us today online at levinlaw.com. Please be safe on the roadways. Stop the text, stop the wrecks.
When you're looking for a great deal on a reliable new or certified pre-owned vehicle, you can't beat Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola. Bob Tyler Toyota has the best selection in town at incredible low prices. You can check out their amazing inventory from Camrys to Tundra trucks to 4Runners. It's all at Bob Tyler Toyota, and you can find it online at bobtylertoyota.com. Also score a touchdown this football season with the car of your dreams. Again, it's only at Bob Tyler Toyota in Car City, Pensacola.
There's only one place in town for the lowest prices and greatest selection of firearms. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Visit our fully stocked Gun Pro Shop for new and used firearms, accessories, and ammunition. Check out the Indoor Shooting Range. We offer rentals on guns, including fully automatic machine guns and silencers. Ladies, this is the safe place to learn how to use a gun. Plus, Tuesday is Ladies' Day. Women shoot for half price all day. The best place to buy firearms in Pensacola. Pensacola Indoor Shooting Range. Highway 29 in Car City.
Pensacola is an amazing destination enjoyed by millions of people every year. High Point Hotel Corporation is proud to offer area visitors a place they can call home in Pensacola. Whether you're looking for a downtown property with space to work and play, a place to rest your head before your morning flight, or a large suite for an extended stay, High Point Hotel Corporation has a place for you in Pensacola. Visit us today at the Courtyard or Resident Inn by Marriott in downtown Pensacola, or the Hampton Inn, Homewood Suites, Hilton Garden Inn, or the new Residence Inn near the Pensacola Airport.
Just felt there's a huge need in Pensacola to bring foot and ankle services, specifically orthopedic foot and ankle services, to this area. There's so much growth in Pensacola. I wanted a freestanding orthopedic foot and ankle center to do this, and as far as I can tell, this is the only one really in the country that's freestanding. Most orthopedic surgeons are part of a multi-specialty group. So we offer on-site x-rays, on-site CT scan, and on-site MRI. They can come to one place.
Visit NielsenOrthopedics.com to reserve your appointment today.
JP here. At ESPN Pensacola, we are hometown proud. We love our hometown heroes like Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawk Doug Baldwin.
They fake, the lob, wide open, touchdown, Doug Baldwin.
Bigger body than Wilson likes to throw to. Big target. Here's Baldwin, smaller target, and he ducks in for the touchdown.
Hi, this is Doug Baldwin, and you're listening to ESPN Pensacola.
The greatest name in sports radio is ESPN. Wherever you have Alexa, you can hear ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. Just say,
Alexa, enable ESPN Pensacola 1330 skill.
The teams, the games, the fans, the local talk. This is ESPN Pensacola 1330 AM, 99.1 FM.
Welcome back to Talk Football with Coach K. JP here with you alongside former NFL head coach Kay Stevenson on this Monday afternoon. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Continue to be safe out there. We're talking some football, Coach. Something that, look, has been popping up more now. And we know, of course, after when this happened on the very first night of the draft, it all kind of took us by surprise a little bit, including probably this man, Aaron Rodgers. Now, the Packers quarterback, they took Jordan Love in the first round, which a lot of people were like, wait a minute, this is a team that truly, when you look at it, has two wide receivers on its roster and one guy that is more of a practice squad player that was brought up this year in Alan Lazard, the wide receiver out of Iowa State. But they have Devontae Adams. And you saw that Aaron Rodgers struggle a little bit. And now people are saying he had numbers that weren't as good as they have been. Well, let's go back to Tom Brady and look at the year Tom Brady had. Still has a successful year, but you're not going to have the success without some talent around you. And this is a guy in Aaron Rodgers that I still believe can play at an extremely high level. But nonetheless, drafting Jordan Love starts ticking that clock for moving on to the next thing. I think it's a little bit different. When you look at Favre, whenever they had drafted Rodgers there was a decline. For Rodgers, I don't really see that decline, Coach. And you draft a quarterback in Jordan Love. We knew what Aaron Rodgers was. We knew how highly touted he was. A guy in Jordan Love, not so much. This is more looked at as upon a project, which I think you got to be so careful. I'm not an NFL coach, but I think when you draft a project quarterback, especially in the first round, that's risky business here. But, Coach, a lot of people saying that this is probably going to be Aaron Rodgers' last year in Green Bay. Coach, are you believing in any of that right now?
Well, let me tell you, there's so many things here that don't make sense. You know, you only get so close to winning it all just a very, very few times in the life of a franchise, other than the Patriots. You know. But when you're that close and you know very certainly and surely know that your talent you really need talent at the receiver and the receiver position, both from the wide receiver to the slot to maybe even a back that they can get matchups with and so on. They don't have any of that, and everything is dependent on Rodgers. He certainly knows that. But why they wouldn't try to fill those gaps to go to the Super Bowl, to get a chance to get them over the top and get to the Super Bowl, I don't understand. And then to move up, to trade, to move up, to get something like he fell to them, they made a trade and they moved up to take Love, and he is a project, what I would call a project. I would, as I said before, I wouldn't have taken him in the fourth or fifth round. I don't think based on what I saw. But they move up to take him in the first round. It certainly is one heck of a message that they set to the whole football team. And I think it not only affected Rodgers, but it affected other people as well. Now, whether the clock's ticking or not, I don't know. You still got to, for Rodgers to leave, he would have to be traded. That's going to be very expensive, and he's got a pretty expensive contract, which is going to have to be adhered to. So there's still some obstacles there. So we can't say exactly what's going to happen, but it's not a good situation at all.
Yeah, I agree, Coach, and they didn't even draft a wide receiver. That's the other slap in the face when you look at it. But nonetheless, Coach, that sound means time for us to go. As usual, we didn't get to everything. We'll try tomorrow, but it's been a pleasure, Coach.
You bet. Look forward to tomorrow, JP.
Absolutely, Coach. We appreciate it. We appreciate our listeners out there as well. Look, we'll be back tomorrow, same time, talking some football with you right here on Talk Football with Coach K on ESPN Pensacola.
Wingo to the Sports Drive with Chad Brillante. Plus talk football with Coach K at noon, sports call every Saturday. If you'd like to partner with us as an advertiser or a promotional partner, just give us a call at 262-6000.
You're listening to ESPN Pensacola, 1330 AM, 99.1 FM. All sports, all the time. WEBY, Milton, Pensacola.
First Take, your take on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, and ESPN News. I'm Jason Fitz. Start the hour as we like to do with a few headlines. An ESPN study of over 1,000 sports fans. It's called the ESPN Coronavirus Lockdown Fan Study. Surveyed fans ages 18 and older, 65% in favor of sports returning even if fans can't be in the stands. The approval number grew to 76% when participants were asked if they support the return of sports without fans in the stands, if the players were kept in hotels and their contact with others was closely monitored. So, surprising breaking news. Sports fans surveyed want sports to come back. Also, we've got some new news in the NCAA world. Louisville has been hit with a notice of allegations from the NCAA on Monday, including one level 1 allegation involving improper recruiting offers for former signee Brian Bowen II, and three level 2 allegations, including one against former coach Rick Pitino. So the NCAA alleges that Pitino, who has now been hired as Iona's coach in March, did not satisfy his head coach responsibility when he failed to promote an atmosphere of compliance. So notice of allegations from the NCAA sent to Louisville's men's basketball team. We'll see how that plays forward as we continue to keep all eyes on it. And then, in some sad news, the Dolphins it's a sad day for Dolphins fans everywhere, as former head coach, Hall of Fame head coach Don Shula has passed at the age of 90. The NFL's winningest head coach led the Miami Dolphins to the league's only undefeated season. He passed away on Monday. So obviously the Dolphins fan base is saddened today. The Dolphins issued a statement saying that Shula died, quote, peacefully at his home. We'll continue to break that down, obviously, and give you some context around legacy as we move forward on First Take, Your Take. And it's at least spurring the conversation for us. We want you to tell us what's the greatest single season you've ever seen in any sport. The Dolphins went undefeated. Is that on your list? We've seen a lot of The Last Dance lately. Are one of those seasons on your list? 888-SAY-ESPN. 888-729-3776. That's how you get in on the conversation. 888-729-3776. Don't forget, SSI recipients, if you did not file a tax return last year and have children under 17, this is important. You must act now to get the $500 economic impact payment per child. If you do not act by May 5th, that's tomorrow. If you do not act by May 5th, you must wait until next year to get those payments. You got to go to irs.gov and enter your information in the non-filer tool by May 5th. That's irs.gov. This message is produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense. Want to make sure you get out there and get that money, guys. First Take, Your Take on ESPN Radio, asking you the single greatest season you've ever seen in any sport. We'll get some of your take coming up in just a second. There was a lot of take from The Last Dance last night, as obviously Michael Jordan has had his share of instances that create polarizing opinions. One has been the way he approached or didn't approach any sort of opportunity for activism or any sort of opportunity to use his platform for a voice outside of basketball. It was part of the conversation around The Last Dance, his his famous quote of Republicans buy shoes also. It was part of his lack of activism, was part of the context we got over the last couple of episodes. Stephen A. today on First Take talked about whether his lack of a political stance should affect the way we see his legacy.
I don't think it should affect it at all. I mean, first of all, we don't know what he was doing behind the scenes. As a matter of fact, on countless occasions, we've